Jack Ma was China's richest man until this year. It seemed everything he touched turned to gold. Well, almost everything. But the music stopped when he gave a controversial speech in October 2020, criticizing China's banking system for its lack of innovation.
The mystery now surrounding tech tycoon Jack Ma.
Why is this Jack Ma billionaire laying low?
Regulators then slapped his company Alibaba with a record fine of $3.8 billion for breaching anti-monopoly laws. They also torpedoed his plans to list his financial technology company, Ant Group, which was destined to be the biggest share market float in history. Since then, the Chinese government has cracked down on more than 30 tech firms.
Without Jack Ma's speech, I guess the regulators first would not be so infuriated.
Many Chinese tech firms have shares on the US stock market, where it's tougher for Beijing to regulate that money. But they're now being penalized for alleged breaches of competition law, which happened years ago. Some analysts are warning that it's becoming too risky to invest in Chinese companies. The tech giant Tencent was also criticized by state media for its so-called spiritual opium, or video games that were considered too addictive. It's no wonder Chinese tech stocks have suffered an absolute meltdown, and why markets in Shanghai and Hong Kong are doing much worse than everyone else.
From our perspective, it looks like a terrible own goal from China. They wipe out billions of the value of these stocks overnight.
The Chinese government has also been keen to weaken the influence of its tech billionaires and anyone who may potentially become too powerful. After all, these tech firms have gathered a lot of valuable info about China's billion or so citizens, and the leadership does not want that to fall into foreign hands. Another high-profile target, Didi, known as China's version of Uber, defied the government by listing on the New York Stock Exchange. Retribution came swiftly as China suspended Didi's app from the nation's mobile stores, causing its share price to tank.
They've got a longer-term view. They want to make sure that these companies are working not just in the company's interests, not just in the consumer's interests, but in the government's interest, the nation's interest.
China's $130 billion private tutoring sector was also decimated after the government imposed a radical policy banning providers from making a profit. The sudden injection of socialism comes as the government warns the sector has been hijacked by capitalists. It wants to lower living costs to spark a baby boom, to offset the economic impact of China's aging population.
It will actually increase the time the parents need to spend on tutoring their own children. So the parents actually have less free time.
The Chinese government has warned there will be more crackdowns, and the companies at greatest risk are the ones with the most exposure to the masses, where the power and influence of the CEOs rivals that of the ruling party. One key feature of Xi Jinping's policies is that he's not pursuing economic growth at any cost.
I think many people have become complacent about some of these big Chinese stocks. They thought they were too big to touch, too important to the Chinese economy for the Chinese government to meddle with. Well, that's not the case.
And that means no one is too big to fail.